Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here on Friday, March 22nd, 322. For my live Q brief, we'll be talking about all things Q. And first of all, I hope the audio is in sync with the video. And I hope the video doesn't get cut or tampered with or whatever's been going on with it. I've been seeing some comments that those things have been happening, and I've been working on it. I don't know what's going on with the video, though. Maybe they're messing with my stuff, but I've been working on those things. And also, I hope you guys are navigating these energies okay. I mean, I don't know about you. I hope everything's going on okay in your life, but as for me personally, things have been crazy. I had a family member pass away. My car died, not just battery dead, but like dead. Had to tow it into a mechanic. So, a lot of struggles, a lot of challenging changes, but change is the name of the game. Our universe is always in motion. Favorite quote of mine is from Alan Watts. He said, the only way to make sense of the change is to just jump into it, move with it, and join the dance. And with no struggles, if these changes weren't challenging, there'd be no growth. Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. So I embrace the struggle, embrace the suck. An old soccer coach of mine used to say, embrace the suck. So anyway, full moon. Maybe it's the full moon. Maybe it's that, I think, Mercury retrograde. Whatever the case is, things are continuing to move along. But as for Q, what do I want to touch on there? We'll go through a few of Q's posts here. There's been some hardcore stuff that's been dropped the past few days, and it's basically like breaking the internet, basically. But there's been a lot of hardcore information that's been dug up in related to these drops, and I'm not going to go into it too deeply. A lot of this information is really for you to go through sort of at your own pace, at your own comfort level. We don't want to look away from it and ignore it, of course. That is a massive issue a lot of people are doing. But we also, you want to go into this at your own pace. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. You want to go into it at your own pace and your own comfort level so you don't, so you can handle it. So it doesn't change you too much. So anyway, we'll go through Q's drops briefly, but I want to take a look at a lot of the extraneous stuff that's going on in regards to Q. We'll take a look at mentions in the mainstream media, a lot of the attacks in the mainstream media, and also a lot of the attacks on Q and also Q followers from folks in the alternative media as well. So we're going to take a look at a lot in this video. But getting into it, though, before we do that, shout out to a sponsor of this channel, in NOBLEGOLD. Fantastic company. They help you invest your money in precious metals, and you can do that with stocks, with your IRA, but I like to stock up on the physical metals they have. They have these collectible coins. Here's an old school one from the 1800s, pressed silver, and they also press their own commemorative coins. This one of Trump, touting his economic establishments. So if you want to stock up on physical gold, silver, or invest in it, you can check their links and a free ebook of theirs in the description below. So there's that. And like I said, Q is basically breaking the internet. So on qmap.pub, this was last night, they approached nearly 600,000 current users. You can see the counter there, 583,000. And this is like literally a double increase in just a few days. Earlier yesterday, it was at 400,000. I think earlier in the week, it was at it just hit 300. Right now, let's check it out. It's at about 566. So that's incredible. And I saw a post on Vote from the person that runs qmap.pub here. And they were saying that this particular counter right here, that you can find at the top of their website, it is a counter that tracks the unique website visits over the last 24 hours. Okay, so over the last 24 hours, there's been 566,000 unique viewers. This could be either, and this is what was said in his Vote post, this could be either individual people logging on, or it could be bots. Okay, so could be actual people, could be bots, but regardless, this shows that either this stuff is going exponential, and I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, it absolutely is. We can see signs of that all around, that Q is going freaking exponential, or that it's getting attacked. They're trying to send a bunch of bot accounts to qmap.pub, probably trying to overload the servers and take it down. But either of those, I mean, things are heating up. Things are moving right along with Q more and more so. We can see that every single day. So as for getting into Q's drops, though, we're going to start right here with really what was dropped Wednesday afternoon that started getting heavy. And we're just going to take a look through qmap.pub at some of these connections that were posted on the chans and then referenced by Q. I have seen a lot more stuff been dug up and posted on Twitter and on the chans. I mean, this stuff goes incredibly deep. The threads I've seen on Twitter from Q researchers there and on 8chan digging up the connections between Epstein and with Rachel Chandler. Rachel Chandler was a woman that's a centerpiece of a lot of this stuff we'll talk more about here. But their connections, and for instance, I mean, I saw one website that was linked to Rachel Chandler. Purple Diary, it might have been called. But anyway, this particular website, it had only 2 things for sale on it. But on this website, it had thousands of storefronts listed, like thousands of storefronts across the world listed. And one of them, for instance, for example, in New York, one of the storefronts that was listed there in New York was looked up by one of the Anons, and it was just this sketchy door. It was like a door between a Subway and this other business there on just some block in New York, and it was just this like door, no windows, sketchy as heck. Like, this is really weird. It could have been a website that these people connected to these groups utilized to traffic individuals. And it's, this is the kind of hardcore stuff we're dealing with here. So getting into these drops, Q's saying, will the rich and powerful influence the court to prevent the unsealing? And this is all about Jeffrey Epstein's court case. Q linking Politico here. The Epstein court case. And what is incredible about this is that mystery parties seek secrecy in Jeffrey Epstein-related suit. Now, at the very last minute, 2 mystery litigants are fighting to keep a lot of the court documents sealed in regards to Epstein's case. Q saying here, follow the attorney. And the attorney that is representing these anonymous folks, mystery litigants, his name's Nick Lewin. Q linking us the actual court documents here that were filed. Nick Lewin, as a part of Krieger, Kim, and Lewin LLP, attorneys out of New York. Nick Lewin, what are his connections? Mueller connection, Q asks. Comey connection. Well, Nick Lewin was actually the special counsel for Rob Mueller and James Comey, both of them, when they were FBI directors. Nick Lewin was basically their special counsel, attorney. So Q saying, follow the attorney. This guy, Nick Lewin, looks to be trying to cover up everything related to Epstein here, these court documents, for his powerful friends, for whomever. Q saying, if the truth about Rachel Chandler comes to light, it's going to be huge. Watch the news for Rachel Chandler. Q saying, who is Rachel Chandler? And Q mentioned Rachel Chandler before in the drops. The first time was, I believe, about April of last year, 2018. Q briefly mentioned Rachel Chandler, put it in our minds, put it out there, but didn't follow up quite like they're following up now. So Q saying here, how many girls were waiting for their return to the boat? Who owned the boat? What does a handler procure? Is the handler one of many connected to Epstein? Flight logs reveal many hidden artifacts, RC. Q inferring here that Rachel Chandler is the handler for Epstein, one of many handlers. Q giving us her website here. And it gets really weird. Gets really, really weird. A lot of the Anons were digging up the Tumblr account and the website of Chandler, posting a lot of it on the boards that Q is confirming. Q continues here. What high-profile elite people fund and provide Rachel with her photography studio? What's a studio really used for? It goes far beyond actual modeling and the spirit cooking modeling. Who has Rachel Chandler been pictured with? Incredible. If the records become unsealed, much will be revealed. Watch the news for Rachel Chandler. And then the posts started coming in onto the chans that Q was confirming here. Rachel Chandler, pictured here with Eminem. This was from her Instagram even. She commented at 17 or 16. So she was very young in these circles. Looks like she's been in these circles for quite a long time. In the connected to celebrities, high-profile people in LA. She's also connected to the Standard Hotel, as we'll see here soon here. The Standard Hotel, owned by partly by Adam Schiff there in LA. Rachel Chandler here, photographed with other people. There's P. Diddy, Eminem. These are very old photographs when she was young. Bill Clinton there. And then models to watch. This was one of the screenshots that was from a Rachel Chandler connected website. Models to watch in 2017 as predicted by Midland Agencies. Rachel Chandler. Look at this. Does this look like happy models? Do these people even look like models? Is this something that was used to buy and sell, traffic humans and children? I mean, this is disgusting stuff, but this is the reality of the situation. And how in dark corners of the internet, these high-profile people do it. It's very vague, but at the same time, if you look at it with the proper context, it's not vague at all. They look so sick. It's so sad. Where are they now, Q asks. And these are pictures from Rachel Chandler's Tumblr that was linked here. I mean, look at this. This kid with a towel wrapped around him. Freaking naked. Baby here in this photograph. I mean, like I said, this is very hardcore stuff. And there could be there's much more that's been dug up that we could go into. But it's something you kind of need to go through at your own pace, your own comfort level for this all. Like I said, don't shy away from it. Don't avoid the negative. Common new age bullshit we tend to hear there. But, you know, at your own comfort level, you don't have to go all the way into it, but don't be one of those ones that denies it without proper evidence or tries to brush the evidence under the rug. So Rachel Chandler having possible Epstein Island security cam pic on her Instagram. Incredible. Incredible what's open sourced, right? What's already open sourced. We just needed a laser pointer, a little bit of a way shower to start connecting all this stuff. So anyway, big connections coming out. Prince Andrew is deeply connected as well. Britney Spears in photographs. Here's some old photographs of Chandler. Chandler here with Paris Hilton, the Hilton sisters. Here's more weird, sickly photos from her Instagram. Red shoes. You know, that symbolism there. Red shoes. Ray Chandler is Allison Mack times 100. And Standard Hotel connections. There's photographs of Rachel Chandler at the Standard Hotel even. And, of course, who did Nikki Hilton? Paris Hilton's sister. Mary? A Rothschild. James Rothschild. So, Ray Chandler connected to Rothschilds. Connected to all these high-profile folks. And then Q posting, very last thing here, on the night of Wednesday, the FBI.gov tips hotline. So there you go. I mean, is this tips headline, was it posted to tell us to call in? Or, here's another theory I've seen floating around out there, and this is a feeling that I got. Was it a tip to us that these people could be singing already? I mean, with the idea that Q is posting this information more so now, getting us to dig into it and all these connections, that could mean that it's safe to do so. You know, that could mean that these individuals, Q asking, where are they now? Are these people giving it up to the FBI, you know, in protective custody in some way? This information obviously is safe for us to get into, so it's not been made private. I wonder why it hasn't been made private. Very intriguing there. So it's as if, what up in the Matrix? Shout out. There you go. Please let people know about our site and YouTube. I need to get on your YouTube channel again. I like the conversation on your guys' channel. You guys are open for a lot of crazy topics. Thanks, Matrix. So yeah, this is incredible stuff. A lot of big connections. And apparently it's safe for us to all be bringing this to light, and it'll get brought to the light possibly very soon in the mainstream, depending on what goes on with the Epstein case. But there we go. Crazy, crazy stuff going on in our world. So now moving on, we went into those Q posts, a lot of the connections, Epstein case, qmap.pub count. A little bit on Nexium, though. Q mentioning Ray Chandler as Allison Mack times 100. We still do have news going on with Nexium. Allison Mack is in active plea negotiations to avoid trial at the very same time that the founder, Keith Raniere, is shutting up. He's not taking a plea deal. So, news coming out there. People are singing, it looks like, with a lot of different investigations, a lot of different cases. So I'm looking at Epstein closely, but I'm also watching Nexium very closely as well. So watch New York, Q said, but also watch California. In New York, we have Nexium news breaking there. California, we have the Chandler and all that connections. And, of course, a lot of this stuff links between those two areas, East Coast, West Coast. Now getting into what's next. How about Fox and Friends this morning? So in their segment, Fox and Friends was talking about the executive order that the president signed advocating free speech on college campuses. So this was what the segment was about. And in showing various tweets, I'll play this segment here. In showing various tweets, they actually showed this QAnon 76, prolific QAnon, not a QAnon Twitter account, but they repost what Q drops and various research and whatnot. They showed this tweet, handle and all. QAnon, at QAnon76. They didn't even make a mention of Q. There was no mention of Q, which was the interesting part. They read the tweet, and they said, vaguely, well, this is what this Twitter follower wrote, and then they moved on. So, talk about coincidence here, guys. They're getting people to look at that QAnon and get into it. Fox News is very intriguing. It's like, is there good there? Is there bad there? Is there a mix of the two? But this is good. This is good stuff that they are softly disclosing these things to their audience. Shout out to QAnon76 there. And let's talk about Praying Medic as well. So Praying Medic having some issues with his Twitter account. He voluntarily deactivated it the other night for strategic reasons. He wasn't able to post or reply to DMs. There was just some messing with that Twitter was doing with him. So he deactivated his account, and when he did that, a bunch of fake accounts quickly popped up. I saw like 4 or 5 of them, and Praying Medic had his Twitter account down for about 24 hours. It's now up. He's posting on Twitter again, but a lot of those fake accounts were popping up, and they were the patterns. It's always the patterns in these shill hordes. A lot of the things that the fake Praying Medics accounts were saying was like the exact same stuff that a lot of these Twitter shills have been saying over the last week or so. So they will jump at any opportunity they get to try to, of course, discredit Q and Q followers as well. And another shill trying to discredit Q followers. This guy right here, Jack Posebek, Praying Medic, also taking some heat from him. Jack being very vague, kind of very, very slimy in the way he's doing this. He tweeted, blind item. This blind item is also a public service announcement. If you are taking in donations, he's basically inferring that Praying Medic here, without saying Praying Medic's name, he's suggesting that Praying Medic is committing fraud and tax evasion, which Praying Medic here shutting him down, saying someone should also learn what a 508c1a is and is not allowed to do under the law. So Praying Medic, he has this business. I believe he does some consulting and coaching or teaching on his own accord. I don't know as much about his operations there, but I do know that Praying Medic is a fantastic person to follow from Q, and I support him there. So, but I have faith in him. I have faith in whatever he's doing honestly and justly. So pretty ridiculous that Slimy Jack, Posobak, can't even man up and say his name because, of course, he's lying. And he doesn't want to get caught lying, so he just calls it a blind item PSA. And that's another tactic that these shills are doing, is that not just Jack Posebek, but I've seen Anti-School and other people do it as well, is they're trying to strike fear into the hearts of Q followers, saying that they're probably going to get a knock on their door soon by the feds, or they're going to get investigated, or, they're trying to shut Q followers down now. Since they're trying to shut Q down, they're failing at that, so let's just go for the followers in underhandedly subtle ways. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what they're trying to do. So solidarity to praying medic there. But also, let's talk about Jack a little bit more. So how about, here's another one of Jack's tweets talking about his blind items. He's tweeted this a few times the last few days. But how about the Politico report that came out a couple of days ago that Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovich agreed to interview for? Politico did a whole 4-minute video here on Q, typical false narratives. But Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovich sat down with Politico for this. You can see Cernovich there. You can see Jack Posobiec there. And they were, Jack Posobiec and Cernovich, both promoting false statements, misinformation, just kind of straight up lies, quite literally. So Jack Posobiec went through his typical talking points. He tried to claim that Q was fizzling out after some of the recent censorship. Definitely not the case, as we've seen by that QMAP count and many other things. So he said that Q was fizzling out. He even claimed that he knew Q was Q before Q was Q, or whatever he said. I linked this down below in the description. You can take a look at this video yourself if you haven't seen it. But he said, I knew Q was Q before Q, which is bullshit because he was referencing microchip, which I can literally prove is fake. Jack's claimed source is fake news. And I'll do that here. I'll prove it's fake. So he went through all his terrible rhetorical talking points. He also called or suggested that Q is an extremist group, something to that effect. But here is the post from Microchip. This was Jack Posobiec's source. This is a post from Microchip on his Gab account. It says, good argument by Jordan Sather that also exposes Sather as being behind current QAnon. That's just completely fake news. I had literally never logged onto 4chan or 8chan in my life well after Q started posting. This is probably December 2017. Never knew how to get onto him, never did. So this is totally fake to say that I was in chat logs that started Q with fellow bakers. I mean, behind Q, it's ridiculous. And this is the source that Jack Posobiec claims is true here in his Politico article. Politico video here, Dreamcatcher, and at Microchip. It's totally false. So there's that, and not just that, but his claim that he knew Q was Q before Q. So I'm going to do a little bit of self-promotion here, shameless self-promotion, but I want to show a video of mine for you guys from before Q started posting, okay? And I'm doing this to help expose the lies, help expose the misinformation, and what these people are trying to do. Because that's what we're trying to do here as citizen journalists, right? As truth seekers and sharers. We're trying to expose the lies, not just in the mainstream media, but all media, mainstream, alternative, truth community media. If there's misinformation and lies, I don't care who you are, I don't care what organization you are, we got to expose it. We got to call it out and analyze it. So, in OAN's very first report on Q, way back in August of 2018, when it started going mainstream, OAN did a report on the 7th of August last year on Q. This is the very first one they did. I don't know if Jack Posobiec was involved in this or not. His voice, his face wasn't used, but regardless, this was around the same time that he was involved in a lot of those OAN reports that tried to discredit Q. Now, again, I linked this down below. You can take a look at the video, and I want you to because the context of the video is incredible. They actually used a screenshot of my video with my face there when they were trying to explain Q. They were claiming that Q is this anonymous online poster that started posting on 4chan under the title The Calm Before the Storm. And when they were saying that, they highlighted my whiteboard, Calm Before the Storm, during the context of that video. Like, it was very suggestive that I was the person behind these posts when I'm not. And this video here, like I said, I put it out 3 weeks before Q started posting. I was analyzing what Trump meant by that calm before the storm statement he made there in the White House 3 weeks before Q. I was analyzing it. I'm like, what's the storm going to be? My best guess is that it's some sort of data dump. You can see what I wrote there, official address, It's going to be the first round of disclosure talking about false flags and beginning stages of political corruption, pedogate. Like, if anybody knew Q was Q before Q, I called it right there. I wasn't totally correct. There wasn't an official address or anything like that. What we've seen transpire since then has been far more incredible and necessary. The vague components of Q in the mainstream and all. But I was pretty darn close. Like, talking about false flags and corruption, pedogate. It hasn't been all of it. Q hasn't touched on everything. It's up to us to find out the rest and force it into the public, like the suppressed tech, and I think I wrote the ETs and cosmic understanding here and whatnot, but it's pretty damn good analyzation there. And it's as if Owen or Posobiec or them, it's as if they were trying to set me up. Like, if they needed a fall guy or to frame me in some way for being behind Q, it's like that's what they were trying to do. So I don't know. I'm just looking at this all. I don't know why they use my face in this. Really have had no answers about this, and that's just something to make known. There's so much fake news that I'm directly involved in, so I kind of feel a responsibility to try to help expose it. This isn't, I'm not attacking individuals, I'm not being divisive, I'm pointing out the divisiveness that's out there. So that's what's important here. So a lot of fake news going on in the alternative media, in the people who call themselves truth seekers and whatnot. And there's also, we'll get into now, a lot of the fake news discrediting going on in the mainstream. So just a few articles I want to go through, then we'll finish up here. The Atlantic yesterday, Instagram is the internet's new home for hate. So they're singling out platform by platform. They're trying to single out Amazon and then YouTube and then Facebook and then Twitter. Now it's Instagram, and they're singling out these particular platforms to try to call on them to start censoring. It's exactly what they're doing. So by saying Instagram is the internet's new home for hate, this puts Instagram now into a particular situation where they're forced to essentially censor. This is how they're doing it. Problem, reaction, solution in effect here. And this article going on into talking about this person named Alex. I don't know who Alex is. I don't know if Alex is even real, but talking about Alex being a high school senior who got into Instagram and started networking on there, got into QAnon and all these crazy conspiracy theories, blah, blah, blah. So they are trying to scare the mass public by, attacking the family. It's very emotionally driven there, trying to make people worry about their children. Oh, I gotta censor my children's social media. I gotta prevent them from getting into these crazy conspiracy theories. And then they're calling on these platforms to censor. It's their modus operandi here. And I mean, quite frankly, it's like, what this makes me think of, we're going to have the talk with our children and our kids, really everybody, sooner or later. But by the talk, I mean sitting them down, having the intervention is like, yeah, this is what's really going on in the world. It's time to wake up, like the wake up talk. That's something we're going to have with our children. And it's better to do it before they get into a lot of the hardcore stuff on the internet. Because like I've been saying, it can be crazy. It can be intense for an individual to process the reality of our world. So we do have to have the talk with our kids, but not for why the Atlantic suggests here. The Atlantic is trying to say you need to prevent your kids from getting into misinformation and hate speech and fake news, but it's not fake news. It's because it's real news. It's because it's real information. And we just, we need to help hone our discernment skills and process it all. Have the talk with your kids, folks. HuffPo. Charlottesville schools close after 4chan threat. There was a threat posted on 4chan against this school in Charlottesville, Virginia, and the threat on 4chan was talking about an ethnic cleansing, talking about a school shooting being tomorrow, all these threats. So my thought here, what's to say this wasn't staged? I mean, absolute reality of the situation we have as well is that these sorts of basically counterintelligence operations can completely be staged to make 4chan, make 8chan look like a crazy, violent, illegal place. There's so much content that's posted on 4chan and 8chan that is illegal, that is then removed, but it's purposefully posted there by shills, by assets, so they can paint 4chan and 8chan as being illegal, violent, awful places. So wouldn't doubt if that's the case here. Sad reality, but very much happens. And Daily Beast, getting into it here. Daily Beast. Good old Will Sommer, writing his shill pieces day in and day out. South Carolina Republican, another state representative, endorsing QAnon, saying they're legit on their Facebook page. And Will Sommer trying to write here that QAnon's a kind of mega Pizzagate. QAnon has been linked to several violent incidents, including a Seattle stabbing and, incredibly, the recent murder of a mafia boss. Again, staged situations to try to paint, to try to use in their psychological warfare. They're painting the movement and people as being violent. What they don't tell you, though, is that the recent murder of a mafia boss, what sort of Q connection is that? The crazy murderer writing Q on his hand in ink before his court appearance? Yeah, quite the connection. You know, how easily could he have been told to do that? We'll give you a less sentence if you help us with our psychological warfare, buddy. Jeez. And then the Seattle stabbing, what they also don't tell you there is that the kid involved with that, he was being gang stalked and hallucinating when he did it. Like, this was a real situation. I did a video on this. When I'm done with this video here, I'll link it up above if you want to watch it. I was able to find the murderer's Facebook page and his YouTube page before they sanitized it and made it more private. But dude's name was Bucky Wolf. I got onto his Facebook page and his YouTube and was lurking around. And the kid, he didn't post much QAnon content. There was a couple things, but he wasn't very engaged on Facebook or YouTube. But there was a few posts, and mainly he was talking about being gang stalked, though. Gang stalking, targeted individuals. You know, another reality that we have, intelligence freaking games, stuff that's going on in our world. Gang stalking, targeted individuals are found and then specifically targeted for whatever means and agendas, and then they use individual technologies on them to control their minds. Okay, so voice of God, voice to skull, whatever you want to call it, messaging to mind control an individual to do things, whatever they need. So in this case here, I mean, the kid was making Facebook posts about being gang stalked in his YouTube videos. He was like crying, breaking down. I mean, it was a real kid. It looked like he was going through a waking up experience, but it also looked like he was very alone and then being targeted because of that. So, of course, they don't tell you these things in the mainstream media. They just try to say, oh, it was a Seattle stabbing linked to QAnon. No, it was a targeted individual who was probably mind-controlled to kill so they could paint QAnon as being bad. But regardless, people are still waking up to it. Will Sommer continuing to write, saying, not the first public official to back QAnon, a councilwoman in California and a justice of peace in Montana have both previously gone public about QAnon, their beliefs in it being legit. So great, fantastic. More people being courageous enough in the media, in politics, to be open about this stuff. Call it legit, you know? Notch, Minecraft creator, he's still tweeting about it. So, God, maybe, you know, another thing that shows us that QAnon's popularity is not fizzling out. It's continuously going exponential. And great to see. That means the more people become aware of it and start looking into it, the sooner all these next stages of justice are going to happen. We get the arrests and we get the ending of these reports, the Mueller report and the OIG report, and all this stuff will happen when we get public acceptance for it. This is the biggest thing that's holding them back right now. This was the most pivotal thing they've been trying to set up over the last year and a half, 2 years since Trump's been in office, really, is public acceptance for arrests. Realizing that the Russia investigation is BS, realizing that, oh my gosh, all this projection is going on, all the crimes are actually with these people over here, and these are incredible crimes, and et cetera, et cetera. So as more people accept that, wake up to the realities of this stuff, that's when we get arrests in the next stages, which is great news here. And it's funny because the Daily Beast, speaking of that, deadlines, arrests, dates when this is all going to happen, their most recent QAnon hit piece from this morning, it's like they're doing one a day now. Check this out. This one was yesterday, 21st. This one's today. One a day. They're so desperate. What time is the global pedophile roundup again? QAnon keeps missing deadlines. Okay. Okay, Miss Kelly for the Daily Beast. Please show me anywhere, anytime, any drop that Q mentioned deadlines and dates and when an actual arrest was going to happen. Please show me that. I don't see that mentioned one time in this article here. Apparently the article's for members. I'm not about to pay for that nonsense. But I bet she doesn't even list it in there, and she didn't at all. And none of them have, because this is a attack tactic that they're utilizing. Q, I believe, even mentioned this in one of the drops here. 3124 from the other day. There has been no actual mention of deadlines. Q saying here, numbers do not always equate to days. Incorrect interpretations pushed as statements of fact often lead to pitfalls. It's a stranglehold choke. That's what they call it. Stranglehold choke tactic used by attackers. So it's being used by a lot of those sort of underground shills on Twitter and the Chans and YouTube now. Oh, what about those arrests that Q said was going to happen? Well, Q never gave us a deadline. There's been no deadline, no date. And you got to be careful incorrectly interpreting things and then saying this is going to happen or Q said this when they really didn't say or infer that. So very easy tactic that a lot of these shills are using to attack Q, attack the followers, and try to paint the movement as being false, but it's not, because Q never actually said deadlines, never actually gave us dates, but nevertheless, it's coming. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that one bit. I'm not going to put a date out there. I will put, speculations, educated guesses, but personally, I'm just rolling with all these changes. I mean, every single day, they're continuously exposing themselves. It absolutely is happening. It's going exponential, and you just got to be patient, guys. That's kind of the what I want to imbue to you here to finish up, is that have patience. This is all absolutely going to happen. And I can guarantee you, in 5 years, in 10 years, we're going to look back at this whole first term of Trump, initial stages of Q, etc., and be like, it went by like that. Literally, think about a year ago. Think about a year and a half ago. Everything that's changed since then, since Q first started posting, since before Q, changes are definitely there and will continue happening. And like I said, 5-10 years, we're going to look back and say it happened like that. So that's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for following along. I'll be making some more content today, this weekend. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time.